Let's return to the United States. New president, new administration, new policies, but the same old habits. Uncle Sam has a habit of poking his nose where it does not belong, and he's doing it again with its annual report on religious freedom. It's compiled by the U.S. Commission on International Religious Freedom. It's a federal commission of the U.S. government. They call themselves independent and bipartisan. But they're funded by American taxpayers, and they have one job: publish reports on what they call religious freedom. And how do they define that? They say religious freedom is the right for everyone to practice their religion or to not practice religion at all. So this body compiles a list of global incidents where religious rights are under threat. Then they publish an annual report. It is submitted to the White House and the US Congress. Clearly, the report is important for Washington. They use it as a stick to beat up countries they do not like and countries they want to put pressure on. But why am I talking about it tonight? Because it mentions India again. This report, the latest one, has at least 3 pages dedicated to religious freedom in India. It says, and I'm quoting, "In 2024, religious freedom conditions in India continue to deteriorate as attacks and discrimination against religious minorities continued to rise." That's not all. It mentions the ruling party in India, the Bharatiya Janata Party or the BJP. It also names Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Listen to this. The report accuses the Indian Prime Minister of hateful and disinformed rhetoric against Muslims. It further says that the consecration of the Ram temple in Ayodhya in Uttar Pradesh led to increased attacks against religious minorities in 6 Indian states. It categorically mentions Uttar Pradesh, Uttarakhand, Chhattisgarh, Manipur, Gujarat and Rajasthan. 5 of these states are ruled by the BJP. What else does the report say? That Sikhs, Christians and Muslims are being targeted by the government of India. And then the report has 3 recommendations for the Trump administration. First, sanction the Research and Analysis Wing or RAW, that is India's spy agency. The US panel says RAW is targeting minorities abroad, particularly the Sikh community. That's number 1. Recommendation number 2, review the sale of weapons to India. Halt the sale of the MQ-9 Reaper drones. New Delhi is buying 31 of these drones for its eastern borders. The US body wants to halt this deal. Do you know why? Because it feels that these drones will be used to persecute religious minorities. It makes no sense. Using drones to persecute minorities. And finally, recommendation number 3, designate India as a country of particular concern. This designation is given by the US to countries like China, Pakistan and Iran. The report says, club India with them. New Delhi has, of course, rejected all of this, calling it, and I'm quoting, a biased and politically motivated assessment. The official statement from India says, and I'm quoting, the USCIRF's persistent attempts to misrepresent isolated incidents and cast aspersions on India's vibrant multicultural society reflect a deliberate agenda rather than a genuine concern for religious freedom. Such efforts to undermine India's standing as a beacon of democracy and tolerance will not succeed. In fact, it is the USCIRF that should be designated as an entity of concern. New Delhi is spelling the obvious. The report is utterly biased. It is a poor hit job attempt backed by Washington, and it must be called out with some facts. This is data from 2024. 3,268 hate crimes were reported in the US in 1 year. Anti-Muslim hate crimes increased by 18% in 28 cities. Anti-Semitism was up by 11% in 35 cities. And anti-Asian slurs rose significantly. Clearly, minorities are not safe in the US, and this is just the hate crime data. We are not even counting the mass shootings. There were more than 500 mass shootings in 2024, so no one is safe in America, but they want to lecture others. The thing is, Washington is free to publish such reports, but they should start with the US, with the plight of minorities in their own country, because if the US saw what is going on in the US, they would invade themselves to free the US from the US. Since 9/11, Muslims in America have endured heightened surveillance, profiling and hate crimes. The Council on American Islamic Relations documented more than 8,000 complaints from Muslims in 2023 alone. These range from employment discrimination to outright violence at mosques. Then there's the rise in anti-Semitism. It saw a 140% surge in 2023 compared to the previous year, with synagogues vandalized and worshippers harassed. But Washington's reports do not talk about any of this. What it does right now is just sanctimonious posturing and wielding a calculated political tool.
Greeting you with aloha and namaste.
I love India.
Presence, occupation of a territory by another country pertains to India, what we saw in Kashmir.
How do you see Trump's America?
Yes, the current administration behaves differently from the previous administration.
Are you saying that there are foreign powers who are trying to bring down the current government in Syria?
Exactly.
Iran, maybe Russia too.
Prime Minister Modi committed to South-South, cooperation.
Not over 50%.
Is Ukraine prepared to pay the price for that peace?
No compromises at the cost of territorial integrity and sovereignty.